The crisis within the Labour Party has escalated as the National Chairman, Julius Abure, rejected the 29-member interim committee established by the Abia State Governor Alex Otti and other stakeholders of the party. Abure described the committee as illegal and unconstitutional. The committee, led by Senator Esther Nnenadi Usman, was tasked with conducting party congresses and a national convention within 90 days.
However, Abure's National Working Committee dismissed the committee, stating that there is no leadership vacuum in the party. The crisis has sparked divisions within the party, with some members calling for unity and support for the Caretaker Committee. Joining us this morning is Public Affairs Analyst Devo Okorie. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
The Labour Party was that party that no one saw coming in 2023 elections. They came with such a force. But in the past year, we've seen that there have been a number of divisions within the party, and that has in some measure affected or poked at the strength and the unity of the party. With Julius Abure being, quote-unquote, kicked out and the transition committee, 29-member transition committee being set up, do you think that this is the Labour Party on its way in the right path, to the right path? Even though Julius Abure is kicking against this, do you think that this is a step in the right direction for the Labour Party?
I have to say, quite frankly, that Labour is about to head down the same road that the PDP in the troubled state is in at the moment. And I guess most of our political parties literally do the same thing. We have an issue with complying with our own rules, our own constitution. As you know, the committee, the Caretaker Committee that was brought together under the auspices of the Abia State Governor, under the Labour Party rules, is unconstitutional, simply saying it takes the National Working Committee to come together to be able to have any sort of meeting. Now, as you can see, whilst they had that meeting with the presence of Peter Obi, the presidential candidates, with the only governor that they have, the Abia State Governor, Alex Otti, as well as some key aspirants in the last election, it does bring some credibility from an optical point of view, but it is not in line with their own constitutional laws as to how stakeholder meetings are had, how authorization is given, which is why you see the kickback from the Abure-led faction. Now, whether as to if Abure is still the legit chairman or not, I just feel that if political parties cannot obey their own rules, why should we hand over government to them? It's the same issue in the PDP when Wike raised the issue on the party chairman coming from the north, as well as having the presidential candidates coming from the same north, which was what caused the divide in the PDP, where 5 governors left, so to speak, and started supporting another party simply because they could not follow their own rules. And I don't know. It's a problem, because if we can't follow our own rules in the least, what are we really telling the general public?
Well, I mean,
it's not going to
I'm sure that
Labour, I can assure you.
Yeah, I'm expecting that, they will go to court, and of course, try to establish whether the rules were followed or not. I expect that Julius Abure will do that, and of course, other members in support of him. But I want you to, speak on the seeming vote of no confidence on Julius Abure and his leadership of the Labour Party. Would you agree that it has been building for a bit, and the party itself, may have decided that it needs to purge itself of Julius Abure?
How did they say it? He that comes for equity must come with clean hands. It's clear that Abure's tenure was highly controversial. I think many people know that when the Obedience joined the Labour Party, they joined in a manner that was not, following the normal process. It was just a quick fix to be able to present Peter Obi for the elections. Given the fact that Peter Obi's presence obviously brought some heightened, attention on the Labour Party, You know, most of our parties act as what I call it, shopping list of who can get myself out there. They don't actually have strong ideologies. They're more or less up to the highest bidder. I expected Labour after the election to have found a way to have regularized whatever happened just before the election so that they would avoid the calamity that you see going on today. It's not about Abure. It's about a party that needs to get its act together. And those parties have bylaws. They have constitutions. They're not a new party. And I think parties need to start walking the talk, because if you cannot, almost all Nigerian parties are enmeshed in one mess or the other. Why can't compliance be enforced? Why can't they stick to the rules? Abga has the same issue. APC has the same issue. The PDP has the same issue. Now we're discussing Labour. It just seems as if we're not ready to do things as they should be. And that is why we keep getting these results.
All right. Let's also talk about the leadership of the party here in this case, being the person of I wanted to say, the former governor of Anambra State, but yeah, Peter Obi. Let's talk about how he's been able to lead the party. There are those who have applauded him, and we do know that the Labour Party got the popularity that it got at the last elections because of the influence of the Peter Obi movement, the obedience, they say. But in the most recent times, he's been criticized because of the way he's handled the party. Some feel that he should have had a stronger hand towards the party. He's also been criticized by the likes of Kenneth Okonkwo. Let's talk about your thoughts on how he has handled the party so far, and what are your projections for how you see maybe the participation in the next elections? Do you think that they're able to put their house in order, or do you think that by the next elections, Obi might not be a part of the Labour Party?
Well, I hope people understand how politics is played in Nigeria. Politics in Nigeria is numbers and consensus. Let me repeat myself. Politics in Nigeria is numbers and consensus. It's not so much about the platform you're on. The platform you're on gives you the opportunity to come on board. Then if you need to grow your base, that it means you need to go into consensus with both your party members as well as other political parties that exist in this country. And I think that is a game Peter Obi, like any other smart politician, is playing. I believe that he has his own style, okay? He's not as abrasive and as contentious as every other politician, which is why Okonkwo had an issue with him. However, I believe Peter Obi is looking at other options to achieving the presidential mandate come 2027. So the point is, as to whether he is going to be on the Labour platform, because he's already said it clearly that the obedient movement are not a property of Labour, not an asset of Labour. They're a movement on their own. As to whether he's going to use Labour for the 2027 run, the jury is still out there. As you know, there are conversations going on with even the PDP, the SDP, to see how they can rally together, and even members of the Association of Political Parties in Nigeria, because that's how politics works. For example, the APC was a merger of the ANPP, the AC, and the CNPC, right? They formed the APC. Now, when they went for the bid, it just wasn't the APC that came out. You had some members of the PDP that left. That was the new PDP, and merged with them. And what you have today is a ruling party called the APC. If you're going to have to topple that, you will definitely have to play the same game of having your members, and if you don't have enough numbers, you improve that by consensus with other parties. That's how politics works. No matter how you slice it, you don't have the numbers, you don't have the consensus, you're not winning anything.
All right. What do you think happens next? Does Julius Abure go to court? Will the party, be able to somehow, some way mend fences, across board? Or do you expect that, the battle continues, until there, is maybe a court decision that determines who is the substantive chairman of the Labour Party?
like you've seen, even the Abaramba-led faction that gave Labour their issues from inception, and they claim that Abure was not even the chairman, and at some point they took a U-turn on that. Labour Party will continue, but the only problem that it will remain enmeshed in a lot of rancor, and unfortunately, that is not the best position to be in to push your position forward as an alternative party for people to vote for. Like I mentioned to you, of course, Abure will go to court. The court process is slow. The stakeholder meetings that you saw with the Nnenadi Usman, now appointed caretaker committee chair, until she brings about an election that will bring a substantive chair, will all be enmeshed in a lot of rancor, like we've seen it before. So it's nothing new. It just simply means, and I have to say this, that if Labour remains in rancor and the PDP, as you can see, is still in rancor, can't get its act together, it's a clear and clean road for the for the APC to remain in power. So I'm just hoping that Labour can get its act together, because we do, as a nation, dearly need a credible opposition to check the ruling party for where they are excessive or where they miss it.
Okay. All right. In 30 seconds, can you quickly just share your views on state of the nation as it stands? The current petrol scarcity and the Nigerian government's response to it, and just generally the way that they have run the country in the last 1 year plus.
It's been heavily challenged. As you know, most Nigerians are groaning under the cost of living crisis. I wish we had more time for this, but my recommendation is that Nigerians need to rally together to have the courage to get off the criminal subsidy. Subsidy is good, but when it's abused, it becomes a cancer. The NNPC is still not selling petrol price, that the 890 still has a 200 to 300 naira subsidy on it. That is the opportunity for this same government to continue paying the criminal subsidy. And it means we'll continuously go through this scarcity over and over again. Just like AGO, when you remove the subsidy and you deregulate 100%, first of all, you will see fuel in every petrol station. The price will be higher, yes, but the point is we will have sufficiency of product everywhere. 2, how will people cope with extreme prices of inflation? Apart from the CNG, which needs to be accelerated, because if fuel is at 1,002 or 1,500, CNG should come at 600 naira. Nigerians need to learn that the improved revenue to governments that comes with increased sales, okay? Let me repeat myself. The improved revenue, when Tinubu removed subsidy, there was an improvement of 40% on both the federal and the state governments. Nigerians are not asking the state governors what they've done with the money.
Right.
This is where the problem lies. Nigerians need to take responsibility.
Yeah, I do think that, I mean, this is a conversation that we cannot exhaust today. We're hoping that we'll come back. I want to take a very quick break. We'll come back and we'll have you wrap up your thoughts in maybe 2 minutes of that conversation. Welcome back. We're now still joined by Devo Okorie, and he will be talking to us as quickly as possible about the state of the nation. Thank you very much for staying with us. Before we went on the break, we had a conversation about the Labour Party, their journey so far, projections for the future, and now we're stopping at the state of the nation. So your final thoughts on the state of the nation? Yeah,
so like I said, Nigerians need to hold their leaders accountable for the promises that they gave them during elections. We just came out from a protest a month ago, and you saw how government was getting agitated, that its own citizens were complaining about the hungry state and the anger in the land. This should not be so. It's a democracy. Now, there are other means of protest, I would say, that Nigerians need to learn to take up so that they can push their pains on their leaders to make a difference for them. Now, the insecurity, by now we should have resolved the state police constitutional reform. We haven't done that. As you can see, we're going through the petroleum crisis, which has a direct impact on the economy. And because of that, because we don't understand that the criminal subsidy is the reason why we keep going through this back and forth, We continue pushing for it. So I'm asking Nigerians to find ways of holding leadership accountable. You may never see Tinubu in your lifetime. He sits in Aso Rock. He governs 36 states plus the FCT. But you have your governors. Your governors have a direct responsibility to you, at least for now, since they haven't started the LGA direct line charge. Your governors literally have about 50% of what is split from the federal government to contend with. They should be telling you where this money is spent, the taxes you pay. They should be telling you how they spend this money or what benefit is it of you. The wrong way to run a nation is when citizens elect and go to bed for 4 years, and then politicians and private sector operators take advantage and just do what they like. It's not like that in any other climate. We have to wake up. The truth is the future is in our hands. And I mean that literally. If we don't hold and put pressure on our government, they will continue more or less doing as they wish. If you can't sleep,
Mr. Corey,
your government should not be sleeping. If you can't sleep, your government should not be sleeping.
it may have been easier, if we had a government that is open to being criticized, but it doesn't seem like we have that. But we'll talk again. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, for sharing your thoughts with us on these very important topics. We wish you an interesting day ahead.